My brother and I went to a new gym that was hosting an opening competition. This gym ended up having really cool boulders, going from easy to very difficult level of bouldering. So make sure to stay until the end to see how my brother and I perform into this competition. By the way, if you're in the area, make sure to check out this gym. It's really beautiful and the people over there are really cool. So without further ado, let's go into the boulders. For this competition, there was 30 boulders, and for each one of them, we had a maximum of 8 attempts or it wouldn't count on our score sheet. Like most competitions, it was only the 6 best boulders that would count for final score, and since I wanted to win this, I had to get from 25 to 30 ideally in the least tries possible. If you haven't seen him before on the channel, this is my brother, and he's gonna demonstrate number 23. So even though this looked like a really cool boulder, I didn't really have time to try this one, since I was focusing on the harder boulders. Number 24 was 100% my style, since I love crimps, and these were pretty good crimps, except for one that was a little bit capped, so this one I had to full crimp it, but other than that I was still warming up and it was not feeling too bad. So with a flash of this boulder, I moved on to the next one. For my brother, this is his complete opposite style. He's good at slabs, he's good at volumes, but crimps, they always hurt his fingers, so he was not having a fun time in this one, especially on this capped crimp that I talked about earlier. But even though that's not his style, he can of course flash this, and we moved on into the next one. But yeah, he doesn't like crimps. So this is where it starts to get weird. This boulder is like a weird slab compression into the wall, and you really have to find your beta because it's a bit awkward when you're that compressed into the wall. By the way, I know this foot is tremendous, but the foot match is really awkward since you have this press on the wall and you just don't want to fall in your flash attempt. On his first attempt, my brother thought this funky method would work, but the real beta looked more this way. So you have like a foot on the wall and then you go slowly into the capped crimp, but the barn door makes it really hard to hold it, so it's definitely the crux of the boulder. So it was now my turn, and I was really feeling weird into this boulder. Like I said, this compression makes it feel unsafe, and the foot match is really like uncomfortable, and I hesitated a while. But once I made it work, I remembered that Samuel put his foot on the wall, and well, I've been known to cheat some betas with my reach, but I would have made it anyways. Probably not on my first try, but you know, I could reach this move. And afterwards, it was not over because those crimps were like razor blades. They were really small, so I really had to stay focused to finish this boulder. Since my brother is also a long monkey, he did the same thing as me, which was keeping the left foot on the wall and then taking the crimp. And afterwards, it wasn't too much of an issue for him either, just had to stay focused. So unfortunately for him, it took him one more attempt, but it was not the end of the world since not many people got this boulder in this competition. We are moving on to number 26. So this boulder consists on doing a paddle on some flat holds, and it was really satisfying to hit that. And even though it wasn't too hard, it was definitely droppable for a flash attempt. Same goes for this ending. I was a bit confused on what to do, and this volume for the foot is a lot flatter than it looks, but I ended up getting this on my flash attempt. The setting on this one was really satisfying, and it was definitely one of my favorite boulders. Since this is a new gym, every hold is new, they haven't been used before, so of course the skin suffers, but I had a lot of skin to play with, so it was just fun. My brother also flashed this boulder, so before moving to number 27, I just want to show the beta that Samuel did, and he's a crazy outdoor boulderer, so of course he's not gonna do a paddle, he's gonna find a way to do it the most static possible way, just to keep his flash attempt. I mean, fair enough. But I'm not crazy about big paddles either, so if I didn't suck at toe hooks, I probably would have tried his method too.
Yeah, man!
Number 27 was for sure the boulder of the competition. Every climber that tried this boulder knows that it was definitely the coolest one of the comp, and for my part, I was really surprised to get this coordination movement on my first attempt. I'm usually pretty trash when it comes to doing these type of paddles, but in this situation, I think I was just locked in and I somehow just flashed it. Getting a flash of this boulder was definitely really important for my score, since the other strong climbers took a couple of attempts to get this one. My brother had no issues doing this first coordination move, but the second one he had a really hard time to land on the volume and simply get a good momentum to land perfectly. So he was starting to burn down his attempts, and keep in mind that after 8 you cannot add it to your score sheet, so it was definitely important to get this one in a couple of attempts. This boulder was really fun to watch because there was a lot of people trying it. It was interesting to see some people having a hard time getting a good momentum and others just cruising it. For example, my friend Frank is making this look like a V2 in your gym simply because he has a really good momentum and he knows that he has to generate towards the wall, and that way he'll have a good position when he lands. So that's what's really cool about this boulder. It's not only about strength, it's really about positioning and knowing how to get a perfect momentum to be stable when you land.
Let's go! Woo!
This little monster is really strong, but unfortunately he wasted all of his attempts on this coordination because he didn't really know how to make a swing and land perfectly. So I told him exactly what Frank did, and right away he got it and was a little disappointed because he knows and we know that he has the strength to do this and can probably flash it, but it's so technical that it's really easy to just waste attempts on it. And it was the same for my brother. He could have definitely flashed this, but he was overthinking the movement and his swing was just a little bit awkward. So then he just said, alright, I'll stop thinking and just go. He was definitely starting to stress because that was his 6th attempt and 2 more and he wouldn't have been able to put this on his score sheet. But thankfully he got it and we moved on to the next boulder. The route setters did an amazing job at switching styles in between boulders because last one it was a huge coordination and this one was more about body positioning, if that makes sense. And lots of oppositions. You can see it on the boulder, it goes from left to right. It's not just a complete ladder that you have to use strength and it's straightforward. It sort of felt like you have to transfer your weight in all sorts of position to create good opposition. So, my brother actually messed this one up. He thought he did the ending right, but actually, he did not match the last hold since it was a small jib that you had to touch 2 index fingers. And of course, he had to do the boulder all over again. And even though it does look like a small detail, it adds a little bit of difficulty. I was actually really scared of this starting position, but thankfully I did not drop it. And for the rest of the boulder, I was actually feeling a lot more uncomfortable than I was thinking because the holds were a bit more capped than I was thinking and there wasn't many footholds. It was mostly like smearing on the wall, on the volumes, lots of toe hooks. So definitely a little tricky and like I said, lots of oppositions. But every hold was alright, so I couldn't really picture myself falling, so I got another flash, which again was really good for my scoring sheet.
Allez, allez! Come on!
We were now trying number 29, which was the second to last boulder of this competition, and this boulder was the only hard boulder to be in the top out section of this gym. So it was definitely a weird boulder because it only had 3 movements, but every single one of these movements were tricky and easy to fall on, so it was definitely pretty hard to get a flash of this boulder. We were trying this boulder with Sam, and I would say that this is kind of his style because he's a technical climber and definitely strong. I've seen him do a lot of very hard slabs, so I thought he was gonna flash this, but as it turned out he was also struggling at this last section, which was trying to transfer your body to the right side to grab the top out. But that was definitely the crux of this boulder. So even though I saw what they did, my brother and I decided that when we got to that last hold, we would flip the left hand and just commit right hand to the top out. So I was very hesitant on what to do, even though that's what we read, it just didn't feel right in the movement. So here's what happened. Hell yeah, I committed to my beta and it worked, so I was really psyched about that one and it gave me another flash. Even though he saw me do the boulder, my brother decided to do something completely different at the end. His beta looked very solid, so he got it on his second attempt, and with this, we only had number 30 left. I won't lie to you, number 30 was a complete monster of a boulder. The gap between number 29 and 30 was tremendous because those holds were very slopey. The angle was about 70 degrees at the start. It was very pumpy, very technical, super hard on the biceps, forearms, and I knew that nobody got this boulder in this competition, so I was pretty much the last hope of climbers that would get this boulder. So since I know the head route setter of this competition, he made sure that we had a really hard boulder to try in this competition. So I'm really thankful that the route setters took care of having a challenging boulder for every single person in this competition, because this boulder was definitely really hard. So my brother and I were getting cooked by this boulder, but on my second attempt, I realized that when I lift my right foot up into the wall, I could do the next move statically and then flip my hand, which saved me a lot of energy and attempts. But unfortunately, that was not the crux of this boulder, so I was really cooked. It was very awkward to try to match that hold because the footholds were basically the hands we used before, and they were placed in a very bad position for me to use them. Since I wasn't figuring out the beta straight away, I was wasting some attempts, and as you know, 8 attempts go by really quickly, so that definitely became a challenge to get this boulder in 8 attempts or less. Just for reference, here's Jean-Michel doing a beta that would be completely impossible for me, which is double toe hook, and then he can match that sloper. But even after that movement, this boulder was not over. Like I said, the thing that Jean-Mich tried before was just completely not working for me. I just couldn't fit in the box with double toe hook, so I was trying to find something else, but it was not working. But then my brother found a genius beta, which was doing this bicycle with the right foot up. So he didn't get it straight away, but he told me that it was definitely gonna work and that I should give it a try. And since his body is very similar to mine, I knew that it could definitely work for me. So finally I had some hope, but I was already on my 7th attempt.
Allez, allez. Ouais, allez, 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 allez.
It could not have possibly been closer than that. I almost held that sloper up there. That was actually the best hold of the whole climb, and I was just too pumped to hold it, and the sloper on my left hand was not great. So after that try, I knew that at this point I only had 1 attempt left if I wanted this to count on my score sheet.
Allez, allez, allez.
Unfortunately, I could not get this boulder in 8 attempts, and I decided to try it afterwards to at least try to get it, but even then I was getting insanely pumped and the boulder was just really hard, so I ended up not getting it. So here's my score sheet. My 6 boulders ended up being number 24 to 29 with only flashes. I was a little disappointed of not getting number 30, but on the other hand, really happy to get 6 flashes in this competition. I felt super strong and that was a great practice for provincials that was next week. So I want to thank the route setters for this competition because the boulders were really cool. And of course, thank you Topo Escalad for welcoming me into your gym. Everybody was super nice to me, and I hope to climb at this gym very, very soon.
Pour 3 points, on a Samuel C. Deuxième position, 158.7, Martin Lessard. Et le dernier chez les hommes, tout le monde ensemble, Andreas.
Andreas.